It's not over. Who tell you say it's done? I learned my
Good
lesson.
afternoon, or is it night, or is it morning? I'm not sure, wherever you are. It's been a while since I've, shared anything on YouTube, but I'm going to invite you to, click like, subscribe, and share with your friends. I'm going to be talking about topics that's going to empower you to become the best version of yourself. And incidentally, that's the topic we're going to talk about today, the better version of you. I'm sure there must be a better version of you. I'm sure you want to know what that better version looks like. So we're going to talk about that today. So if you're watching this video, right, I'm just thinking, right, if you could get a better person than you are today and somebody promises that to you, you would say yes. Because you would see some things about yourself that, you want to change. Some things that that's just not working for you. They're not advancing you as an individual. And so that's what we want to talk about today, right? You have some rough edges, you're kind of slightly off sometimes, your coarseness, it needs a little sandpapering down. We know these things because we live day to day with ourselves, and we are able to kind of identify and spot the things that causes us to have some form of delay. We don't like to admit it, but it's there, and we're going to talk about it. So how does one become a better version of themselves? Now that's the crux of the matter. I believe we must first become aware of who we are right at this minute. If I was to say to you, who are you today? Would you be able to tell me? What are your likes? What are your dislikes? How do you handle conflicts? How do you handle crisis and stress? What would you say? Huh? I'm giving you some time to think about it, right? Who are you right at this minute? If you're good with where you are, and if you don't need to change, please, really want to attempt to do so, do not watch this video, because I'm really just talking to those people who are saying, I want more. This is not it. Life must has more to offer me, and I want to know what that is. For those persons who want to do that, I invite you to continue. For those who don't, it's okay, because you might have grown and you don't need to have this conversation. So don't continue to watch it. When I talk about the best version of you, I'm talking pretty much about the fact that there is more. There's more room for improvement. There is more room for how you see yourself. There's more room for how you have this comparison kind of a thing, and you're not living your own life, but you're living everybody else's life. Because you're looking at Sue and John and Tom, and you are scoring yourself, whether high or low, based on what they are doing. But you're not having that real connection to self. And so you want to have that real connection to self so that you don't go around comparing yourself. This is just something that makes sense in terms of having a conversation, because what you want to compare yourself with is not somebody else, but with the person you were yesterday. So if you're not growing, you're not living, you're just existing. Because life is about a process of growth, right? Growing from strength to strength to strength. It's almost like a plant. Like if you plant peas, right? There's a seed, and if you put it in the earth, you see it takes time and put up a little sprout, and if you continue to water it and, give it all the nutrients it needs, after a while, it bears peas. It gives you peas that you can plant more. So that is what your life is supposed to look like. Your life is supposed to look like something in the process of growing from strength to strength and growing into the person that you want to become. So do you feel stuck, miserable, frustrated, angry, uncertain, fearful? And I can go on and on and on. And we can explore more of the emotional feelings that you have, right? Do you have that sensing? What would you want to do to make an adjustment to that will help you to live a better life, a better you, a more fulfilled one? What would you want to do? I'm giving you some time to think about it. Think about it. You can identify just one. You don't have to identify a whole heap of things one time, because the thing about change is that you have to attempt to change one thing at a time. If you attempt to change 5 things, it's not going to work. So you're going to start out and a bang, like, yeah, man, we're going to do this and do that tomorrow. But you take on so much things all at once that you'd never get to actually fix any area. So you want to deal with one area at a time. What comes to mind that you would want to change? So let's look at some ways that you can manifest the best version of yourself, right? First, you want to become more aware. So develop awareness of where you are. Become in tune with you. Pay attention to how you feel about a certain situation or how you make others feel around you. How do you respond to challenges? Do your emotions indicate how you respond? Do your emotion indicate your actions? Are you wound up or wind up by somebody else and just wound you up and say, at party? When I used to go to school and say, at party, at party, at party, and you box it out and you broke a fight. Is that what's happening to you? Are you responding out of emotions? Do your emotions indicate your actions? The more connected you are to yourself and your experiences, the more you'll be able to identify when something happens in your mental state or physical state that causes a shift. So then you can pay close attention to that and say, oh, so when this happens, this is what I do. Okay. When you become aware of it, you can now make the necessary adjustment to change that response. So if somebody says something to you, you know it kind of cause an offense. You want to ask yourself, why am I offended? Why am I allowing this to bother me this way? Why does this thing bother me this way? A lot of times, we're saying it's somebody else, and it's because of you said this or you said that. But really and truly, it's about you. It's about what's going on with you and your psyche. So you want to pay attention to that. When the shift comes, what happens when you lose a piece? What's going on there, right? Number 2, have integrity. Identify what is important to you. What are your core values and your moral compass? Are you living by them? Does the way you act and think line up with the true you? Or are you having that kind of sense of denial? Is what you say the same thing you do, or do they differ? Can a person take you at your word? Have integrity. And integrity there don't necessarily mean sometimes you want to have integrity with other people. Yes, that is important. But integrity with self is so much more important. Because if I have integrity with myself and you have integrity with yourself, then it's easier for that to spill over in how you handle every situation and other people. So the best version of yourself will need to live by integrity. Number 3, what's your truth? One of the ways you can become better is to be true to yourself. Don't live in self-denial, right? Be true to you. If you can't be true to you, you'll never be true to anybody else. And then you live this life with a constant mask, always on. And sometimes when we live in a mask way for very long, we can't really identify who we truly are, right? Because there's some confusion going on. So you don't want to live in self-denial, neither do you want to be overly critical about yourself or about your past. Try to live in balance and let life flow, using your daily experiences to teach you useful lessons. You don't have to let your past define you, No, we don't have to allow our past to define us. Because why is it called a past? It no longer exists. So how can you be living in your current situation from your past experiences unless they're lessons, unless they're helping you to grow. That's the only reason why you want to live there. You don't have to let it rule or control how you act or think. You must learn the lessons, because lessons are going to produce the growth, and that's what you want to do, right? Embrace your journey and say yes to life. Say yes to this life, because if you can live this life in a different mindset, then you move from strength to strength. When opportunities and possibilities knock at your door, don't run and hide. Be brave and bold. And don't allow rejection or fear to pull you back into the old, because everything is now new. Don't put you back into this old habit of how you think or act, because if you do that, you're not going to fulfill your destiny. Let's look at 2 Peter 1:3 and what it says. Everything we could ever need for life and godliness has already been deposited into us. It is deposited into you by his divine power. For all this was lavished upon us through the rich experience of knowing him who has called us by name and invited us to come to him through a glorious manifestation of his goodness. When we live below the standard of the word, because the word for me is the manual, that's what we live by, that's what guides our day-to-day actions. And listen, we have to meditate on it. Don't get it twisted. This life coach does not have an energy that she's going to pass on to you and that the universe is going to charge it up. The word is the only thing that can guide you into this place, because I tested, proven, and tried. I know it works. And so therefore, if you live below the standard of the word, you know what you're saying? You're doing a disservice to God's Son, Jesus Christ, who shed his blood on the cross for you and me. You're doing a disservice to it, right? Because you're not using the newness. You're not using the new path that he has now created for you so that you can walk through it and be totally fulfilled, living from the benefits of all that he has left and deposited into you. Go back and read the scripture. Go back and read that scripture and let it stick. Let it marinate in your spirit and see what comes out of it. You have already been made great. So why don't just be great? Go on. Just go be great. Remember, like, subscribe, leave me a comment, or hook me up on Instagram. Whichever way, let's talk. I'd love to hear from you. All right? Until next time. Ta-ta. We talk soon. Take care.